I'm Trisha Friedman. Welcome back to 5 Minute Friday. On this week, we have a very special treat. We have guest educator Maggie Haas-McGrain, who is going to talk to us about how she used one of our recent protocols that was a part of our Eduro book group. We are sharing protocols all the time. We also have a great digital workbook collection of protocols. We will leave the link to that in the video description. But here's Maggie talking us through how she used our protocol inside our book group and how you might want to use that protocol in a book group that you host on your campus. Enjoy.
Hello, I'm Maggie Haas-McGrain, and I'm going to do a reflection as part of the Eduro book group on one of our recent protocols. I have been a member of the Eduro book group this whole year, and we've just read our third book. And the protocol for looking at this book and for discussing the book was the weeds, seeds, and leads protocol. So I'm going to start off just by telling you a little bit about what this protocol involves. The weeds part of the protocol asks us to look at direct quotes from this book that we would like to plant in the minds of our peers, and what are we hoping will grow. So obviously, as I was reading through the book, I made a note of any quotes that I thought might be useful for this part of the protocol. The second one is called Weeds. And this looks at what we really need to be weeding out from our old thinking. So it asks us what thinking in this book or what new ideas that we're getting from the book is complicated by our old thoughts or our existing notions, and what might we do to weed out our older thinking. And the final part of the protocol is called Leads. And this is coming up with one idea or perhaps one direct quote from the book that we think of as a lead to take us forward. So thinking a lot about the actions that we might take as a result of that. So in what other context might I use this protocol? Well, as a coach, I trained in cognitive coaching. And certainly we follow protocols in cognitive coaching, but I'm thinking now about some specific coaching that I've done with people perhaps who are new to a school. I think in that situation, the whole idea of seeds, weeds, and leads is really important. What kind of seeds do we want to converse about in perhaps our initial meetings? What are we hoping as a coach may emerge from these meetings and that will grow? So that's really like the seeds, I think. How are we going to set up the scene for us to continue to coach throughout the year? I think the weeds is one that comes often in questioning. I think many times as a coach, we have these aha moments where teachers suddenly realize, because they've said something out loud perhaps, and they think, well, actually, no, that's not really true. I don't really believe that. They start to question themselves, and they start to give away some of the ideas that they had. I think this is often true when teachers move from one system to another. I've seen it a lot in the PYP, that teachers that have come from very traditional education systems actually need to give up a lot of that. It's quite liberating in order to embrace concept-driven inquiry and to realize that actually students can be the drivers of their own learning. And finally, the leads. As a coach, again, I often like to ask a throwaway question at the end of a coaching session that just leads people away. They have to mull it over. I don't need to know what their answer is, but it's something that I want them to go away and think about. So the leads part of the protocol to me is very much like that walk away question that I might ask at the end of a coaching session. I think having a toolbox of protocols is really useful. If I think back to when I worked in Amsterdam, I was part of the visible thinking cohort there. And it was really useful for me to learn some of these protocols and to use these with students. In the same way, I would say there's many, many protocols that I've learnt through the adaptive schools workshops and also through the cognitive coaching workshops that I've attended and that I use with adults. And I find, it's just useful to have more of these protocols in my toolbox. In the case of the seeds, weeds, leads, I'd never heard of it before. That's also true of the previous true protocols that we used in the Eduro book club. So I'm always excited to learn a new one, and I'm kind of excited, looking forward to our final book of the year and to see what protocol we're going to be using for that. I think being part of an online book group has some challenges, and it's been very interesting to see how we have been able to connect using these different protocols with people who are reading the book but in completely different countries to ourselves. So this is the first time I've done an online book group, and for me it's been really interesting. Thank you.
If you enjoyed listening to Maggie talk through the way that she used one of our protocols, you might want to check out our digital workbook collection of protocols. Again, the link to that workbook is in the video description. Thank you.